Good morning, America. Backing down. New signs President Trump willing to compromise on his demand that Congress fund the border wall right now as he tries to make a deal to avoid a government shutdown. And an unusual meeting at the White House, the president summons every senator to help tackle the North Korea threat.
First daughter Ivanka Trump takes the world stage, making her first big international trip, attending a summit of women leaders, a personal invitation coming from one of the most powerful people in the world.
Overnight, the former Fox anchor speaks out on his podcast for the first time since being fired. He says there's a lot more to the story.
I'm very confident the truth will come out.
We'll have his response to those harassment allegations that ended his Fox career.
And I think it's gonna be a long, long time.
In Elton John's Mystery Illness, the legendary singer hospitalized in intensive care for days, fighting a rare and potentially deadly infection, forcing him to cancel weeks of performances. When will the Rocket Man return to the stage?
Live in Times Square, this is GMA with Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, and Michael Strahan.
Good morning, America. We hope you're all well this Tuesday. What a scare for Elton John.
Yeah, a big scary. I mean, he's one of the most successful artists in the world, selling more than 200 million records, and he is recovering, and he is thanking his doctors as well.
We're going to talk more about that ahead, but we're following also a lot of important stories this morning. That possible government shutdown is looming. The money runs out Friday at midnight. And Ivanka Trump is in Germany, her first official trip overseas, representing the U.S. at an international women's summit. And there's a brand new poll out this morning that reveals most Americans would prefer to keep the Affordable Care Act than get a replacement. More details on that in a moment.
Just released that a moment ago. But first, as President Trump closes in on that 100-day mark, new signs this morning that he's willing to put off funding his border wall to prevent a government shutdown. That would be a big shift for the president. Our chief White House correspondent, John Carl, starts us off for the latest. Good morning, John.
Good morning, George. President Trump certainly is not going to give up on funding that border wall, but the indications are that he is willing to put off that fight for another day.
Forget the 100-day milestone. The biggest challenge facing the president this week may be avoiding a government shutdown.
The main sticking point, funding for his border wall. The White House calls it a top priority. Democrats say it's a non-starter.
Can you, from that podium, guarantee that there will not be a government shutdown?
I can't guarantee.
How close can you get to guarantee?
I think that the work that Director Mulvaney and others have made in these negotiations has been very positive. They feel very confident that won't happen.
So he won't insist that his priorities get funded on the border, the wall, increased security.
That's not what I said.
But now there are signs the president is willing to give in to avoid a shutdown. According to multiple sources, President Trump told a group of conservative journalists at a private White House reception that he is willing to put off funding for the wall until later this fall. Democratic reaction to the president's reported comments was swift. Senator Chuck Schumer saying in a statement overnight that President Trump was taking the wall off the table in a move he called good for the country.
It's a very, very important and powerful group of people.
On his 95th day in office, President Trump hosted the UN Security Council in the state dining room.
You're going to be very busy people, I suspect, over the coming months and years.
A rare White House meeting with top members of the UN, which Trump once called a waste of time and money. Now he's urging the group to take on the threat from North Korea.
North Korea is a big world problem, and it's a problem we have to finally solve.
With pressing national security issues and a packed schedule this week, the last thing the White House wants is a government shutdown. If talks deadlock this week, senior officials tell me that they will seek a temporary extension that would prevent a shutdown that would start George on his 100th day in office.
Yeah, he does not want to be the first president to have that one. Meantime, one of the activities he's trying this week, releasing some details of his new tax plan. Tomorrow, reports the president wants a corporate tax cut even deeper than House Republicans have called for. But that's going to complicate things, because to get something that deep, you're going to need Democrats. They don't seem willing to go along.
That is for sure, George. What I am told is he is talking about reducing the corporate tax rate, which is now at 35%, all the way down to 15%, far deeper than what Republicans in Congress want, and something Democrats would say is simply off the table. The interesting question here is, what will the impact be on the deficit? As you know, Republicans have for a long time been saying that their goal is to reduce the deficit. It's hard to do that with a tax cut that big.
Hard to see how you could do it, John Carl. Thanks very much.
And George, Republicans are also trying to make another push on health care, promising to repeal and replace the Affordable Care Act. But as we mentioned, our new ABC News Washington Post poll out this morning shows most Americans support keeping it. Our congressional correspondent Mary Bruce has those details for us, joins us from Capitol Hill. Good morning, Mary.
Good morning, Robin. Well, Republicans this morning are scrambling to bring their health reform bill back to life. They're working on a compromise that may allow states to opt out of some of the most popular Obamacare provisions. They're hoping that they can finally fulfill that signature pledge to scrap Obamacare. But our latest ABC News Washington Post poll shows that may not be what the majority of Americans want. Just 37% say Obamacare should be repealed and replaced. Instead, 61% say keep it and fix it. And in the meantime, President Trump has suggested that if Republicans can't reach a deal, that they should allow Obamacare to fail. But the majority of Americans, 79%, say instead the president should try and make the current law work as much as possible.
And Mary, what does our poll say about specifically should and should not change?
Yeah, Americans are clearly sending negotiators a clear message about some of the most popular Obamacare provisions. They say, for instance, that 70% of Americans, even a majority of Republicans, say coverage for pre-existing conditions should be mandatory nationwide, not left up to the states. Robin.
All right, Mary, thank you. Negotiations continue.
They sure do. Robin, we're going to move on now to those rising tensions in North Korea. Live fire drills in that country this morning as the country marked the 85th anniversary of its military. And President Trump is preparing to brief Congress on his plans to confront the nuclear threat. Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz here with all that. Good morning, Martha.
Good morning, George. 300 to 400 artillery pieces in this live fire demonstration, really one of the biggest ones they've ever had in North Korea, clearly trying to send a strong message. Some of those artillery pieces could reach Seoul, and that's the real threat right now.
Now, what they didn't do today is have another nuclear test.
They didn't, but a nuclear test is still a very strong possibility. The U.S. has been keeping an eye on this for a very long time, so that really still could, and I know we've said this several times, that still could happen anytime. And of course, what they'd like to do is marry up a long-range missile, an ICBM, with one of those nuclear weapons.
And the U.S. continuing
That's a threat.
U.S. continuing to position its military in the region.
Yes, there is a U.S. submarine, a guided missile submarine parked in South Korea right now. That sends a strong message. All you have to do is look at those pictures. And in fact, it's kind of a make good, because we were sending the Carl Vinson. We're still sending the Carl Vinson battle group. It isn't there yet, but you just look at those pictures of that submarine. Pretty unusual sight.
And President Trump calling the entire Senate down to the White House tomorrow to bring them up to speed on all this. Usually those meetings happen down on Capitol Hill.
They do. It's not unusual for a president to brief, but it's usually on Capitol Hill. I do think this is unusual. And again, it's all about those optics. You've got those senators coming to the White House. Another strong message.
Martha Raddatz, thanks very much.
All right, George and Martha. This morning, all eyes are also on the first daughter, Ivanka Trump, as she makes her first big trip overseas since the inauguration, attending a summit on equality and the empowerment of women with the German chancellor. ABC's Lindsay Janis is in Berlin. Good morning, Lindsay.
Good morning, Robin. This is Ivanka Trump's first official foreign trip as first daughter and as assistant to the president, and it comes before the president has even stepped foot out of the U.S. Now, Ivanka was personally invited here by the German Chancellor Angela Merkel just weeks after the two women discussed vocational education at a White House roundtable. Ivanka's here for the W20, a summit aimed at promoting the role of women in the global economy, an issue close to her heart. In fact, she's written an op-ed in today's Financial Times about it. Ivanka will also participate in a panel about how to increase female entrepreneurship. As for the rest of her schedule, well, she will visit a technical academy and a Holocaust memorial here in Berlin later today. Robin?
All right, Lindsay, thanks so much, George.
Okay, Robert, we're going to get some analysis now from the editor-in-chief of the Daily Beast, John Avlon. He's right here with us right now. Let's talk about the 100 days. We're closing in on it so close right now. Pretty clear the president has decided the worst thing that could happen on his watch is a government shutdown in the first 100 days.
Which objectively is a pretty good call. I mean, capping your 100 days with a government shutdown is a full-on faceplant and a total unforced error when Republicans have unified control of government. I mean, you know this. When we've had shutdowns in the past, it's a Democratic president, Republican Congress. To have this happen with Republicans owning Washington would be unprecedented in every way. That said, last night he seemed to back off one of the big sticking points, which is insisting that adding money for the border wall in this continuing resolution. So that's something that could stop this self-appointed disaster from occurring.
And the president seems pretty conflicted about how much this 100 days matters. On the one hand, he's calling it ridiculous. On the other hand, you see this flurry of activity all week long.
Right. Well, he's trying to lower expectations, but he can't get out of two precedents. First of all, history. This is the standard we've used for every president since FDR. Second, he himself built up the 100 days during the campaign and said it was a big marker. So he's downplaying expectations because he doesn't have a significant legislative record, but he wants to get as many wins on the board as he can.
He put out that contract, 10 pieces of legislation. He's only introduced one, that was health care, and it went down. We were just talking to Martha about this big meeting with the senators tomorrow on North Korea. A little bit of showmanship there.
A lot of showmanship, but this is partly how they're trying to deal with foreign policy, particularly when it comes to North Korea, a regime that is not unfamiliar with showmanship itself. There is a lot of strong action being taken to send clear messages. And I think you got to give Trump and his leadership team credit on this one. They have not taken a hands-off approach to North Korea. They believe that a more proactive approach could actually stop the proliferation which occurred. And the nightmare scenario, as Martha said, is ICBMs with nukes that could reach the United States. So taking a proactive approach, a lot of strong-arm gestures, they believe might be able to contain North Korea and engage China on this.
In their first meeting, he was warned by President Obama that this was the #1 threat that Trump would face, and we saw President Obama back on the stage yesterday for the first time since he left the White House. One word that did not cross his lips: Trump.
Very deliberate on his part. You know, you're walking a fine line. You've got a 55-year-old, very popular ex-president getting back in the public eye, but wanting to focus on more civic messages and stay out of the gutter of politics. That really is a no-win for an ex-president to get in a fight with the current occupant of the office.
And he actually thinks that will help Trump.
Well, that's exactly right, because it rallies Trump's base around him and reignites that fight that Trump wants to prosecute. He's got to own being in the White House. President Obama wants to send a more civic message of engagement and national unity.
John Avlon, thanks very much.
Thank you.
George, now to a big change that could be coming to flights headed here from Europe. A blockbuster new report says the U.S. may expand its electronics ban to other countries, restricting devices larger than a smartphone in the cabins of planes. ABC's senior justice correspondent Pierre Thomas has those new details for us. Good morning, Pierre.
Good morning, Robin. Homeland Security officials are considering whether those travel restrictions on electronic devices bigger than cell phones should be expanded to some airports in Europe, including London. This would increase the number of airports beyond those 10 located in mostly Middle Eastern countries. No final decision has been made, but sources tell us that this threat to commercial airplanes is real and ongoing. We first reported that this ban is the result of ISIS developing creative bombs that can fit inside laptops, iPads, or other electronics. Homeland Security Secretary John Kelly in a recent hearing called those concerns, quote, a real threat, Robin.
Well, if the threats originate in the Middle East, explain why this ban may be expanded to Europe.
Well, the threat is ISIS-based, and based on what we know, ISIS has sympathizers and potentially cells throughout the world. And, Robin, there's real concern that these bomb-making designs are being spread across the globe.
Must keep that in mind. All right, Pierre, thank you. Michael?
All right, thank you, Robin. And now to those new details about how that former Tennessee teacher charged with kidnapping a 15-year-old student managed to escape authorities for more than a month. He appeared in court on Monday, and ABC's Eva Pilgrim has more from Nashville, Tennessee. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Michael. Tad Cummins is facing some serious charges, and this morning authorities allege he admitted he took off because he knew he was under investigation for having an inappropriate relationship with his former student.
This morning, new details on how that Tennessee teacher allegedly hid from the law after taking his 15-year-old former student on a cross-country journey.
He will face a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years and possibly quite longer.
50-year-old Tad Cummins appearing in federal court. Prosecutors in Sacramento telling a judge he planned and executed an audacious scheme, taking Elizabeth Thomas through 9 states before being captured last week in California. To hide from authorities during the 39 days on the run, prosecutors claim Cummins swapped license plates, disabled his car's GPS, used back roads, changed the appearance of his SUV, and made only cash purchases. Court documents state Cummins' original plan was to take the victim south of the border to Mexico and beyond. He even allegedly got a small watercraft and conducted a test run to cross into Mexico across the water from San Diego. Instead, the pair ended up here in this remote cabin in California. Inside, leftover food sitting on bare floors, along with camping gear, toilet paper, and very little else. Elizabeth's dad, Anthony, speaking to ABC News.
He had not been feeding her. She said they were eating flowers and things.
Elizabeth now spending time with a trauma team. Her family says she has a long road ahead.
Sometimes she'll be happy and laughing and back to the same old girl, and then she'll be sometimes just in a fetal position crying. It's been a roller coaster for her.
Now, Cummins did not enter a plea. He is still behind bars this morning, denied bond. Prosecutors saying he's a flight risk. Authorities are planning to bring him back to Tennessee. Michael.
All right, thank you, Eva. Now, Amy, you have the morning's other top stories, starting with another incident at United Airlines.
That's right, a frightening moment on United Airlines flight to Houston. The plane actually had to make an emergency landing back in Costa Rica because an engine reportedly overheated. A reporter who was on board that plane says it tilted and then nearly hit the runway, causing passengers to fear for their lives, but the pilot pulled up in time. The airline calls it a maintenance issue and says the passengers will be compensated for the inconvenience. Arkansas has carried out the nation's first double execution in 17 years. After some last-minute legal maneuvering, convicted murderers Jack Jones and Marcel Williams were put to death within 3 hours of each other overnight. The state is trying to fast-track a series of executions before one of its lethal injection drugs expires on Sunday. Well, conservative pundit Ann Coulter's battle with the University of California, Berkeley is now the subject of a federal lawsuit. Student groups sponsoring her visit claim the university violated their right to free speech when it canceled Coulter's speech over security concerns. The school proposed a new date when students are no longer in class, but Coulter is vowing to speak this Thursday anyway, as originally planned. And an autopsy on Happy Days star Erin Moran has found her sudden death was likely caused by stage 4 cancer. Officials did not elaborate on the type of cancer. She was just 56. And finally, it's not a bird or a plane, but it could be the new way to get around. Take a look at what's being called the Kitty Hawk Flyer. This is a so-called flying car, which is actually really an ultralight aircraft. It was just unveiled on YouTube and is backed by Google co-founder Larry Page. It's all electric and designed specifically to fly over water. It takes off vertically, so there's no need for a runway. And apparently you won't need a pilot's license. The Kitty Hawk is expected to go on sale by the end of the year. No word yet on the price, but I'm going to go back to there's no need for a pilot license. What could go wrong?
I'm going to go back to the point it's electric and what happens if you don't charge it in mid-flight.
How about the fact that it's a flying boat, not a flying car?
A lot of facts right here we throwing out there.
Okay. Rob's got a lot on the flooding in the southeast.
Hey, George, it is raining here in New York City, and there's more to come today. As you mentioned, flooding across the southeast, especially in the Carolinas. Charleston, as beautiful as a city that is, it floods easily, especially during high tide. And when you get 3 inches of rain in just a couple of hours, it was a mess there yesterday morning. In North Carolina, you saw some rain and wind damage. Stonewall, North Carolina there. We're seeing winds 20 to 40 miles an hour there through the Delmarva today. So with that saturated ground, could see some tree and power issues ongoing. Flood watch up for another hour, and the rain increases then through Philly, D.C., New York, and Boston throughout the day today. And overnight tonight, locally 2 inches or more of rain. So generally speaking, this is a nasty next 24 hours. Your local forecast is 30 seconds away, but first, Tuesday Trivia brought to you by Dairy Queen.
So we're saving the galaxy again? Awesome!
See that? How the Guardians of the Galaxy come together to be awesome? Guys, that's teamwork. Like cookies and brownies coming together to form Brookies and this Guardians Awesome Mix Blizzard. Hey, Jen, that's enough. Star-Lord's clean.
What?
Jen, we talked about this.
The new DQ Guardians Awesome Mix Blizzard, an awesome mix of Brookie Pieces, caramel, and Choco Chunks. See Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 in theaters May 5th.
Our nastiest weather will be early part of the day with moderate to heavy rain and could see some delays on area roads or scattered showers by the afternoon rush and a lower threat of the weather impacting the area. Now today is going to be on the cool side again. Our temperatures stay in the 50s and then a whole nother 15-degree temperature jump tomorrow as we hit a high of 75 degrees with a clearing sky and potentially our first 90 coming our way this weekend with higher humidity. Yes, humidity will be climbing, an isolated shower storm.
Really coming down there. I'm going to toss it back inside to you before I start singing and dancing like Gene Kelly, and that will be pretty ugly, guys.
Looking good there, Rob. Coming up here on GMA, Bill O'Reilly back with his podcast, and he talked about